Welcome to Faint Footsteps World War II Part 4. In it we learn more about the 100 Canadian sailors who were the first to volunteer for combined operations. Once they arrived in the UK, they soon learned what their initial duties would be as some of Combined Ops' newest recruits. In late January 1942, the sailors arrived safely in Gurrock, Scotland. With feet on dry land, they passed the hat for the crew of HMS Firedrake, who had provided safe passage across the Atlantic. Then, before they had time to unbutton their long coats, they were sent by bus to HMCS Niobe, a Canadian manning depot and barracks near Greenock, Scotland, and shortly thereafter they were packed upon a train. My father writes, "We spent little time at Niobe, but entrained for Havant in southern England to HMS Normandy on Hayling Island, a barracks with a large building for eating and cabins with 4 bedrooms." He says this was January 1942 and there was no heat at all in the brick cabins. The toilets all froze and split, but we made out okay. At least our eating quarters were heated. In memoirs, veterans recall that at Niobe and Normandy they were finally told what some of their specific responsibilities were going to be within a few months. My father recalls the day they were filled in about special duties. It was revealed to us that we were to serve on landing crafts, he says. The strange new world of landing craft, tides, currents, cold wind, rain, and darkness lay ahead. Lloyd Evans of Markham says, "We discovered we had volunteered to operate landing craft for future raids and landings. If recruits asked what future raids and landings were planned, they would have been told less than nothing, even in regard to numerous practice runs. Only on the morning of a raid, or just hours before an invasion, would they learn their purpose and destination. Their duties, however, for the Dieppe Raid and invasion of North Africa, both within their first year, would be very well practiced." At the Normandy camps, some new recruits were given a time and location for standing on guard duty during dark and lonely nights. Lloyd Evans says, "Some nights I stood guard duty at the end of a long pier as a lookout for German raiding parties. In the lonely darkness, this inexperienced 18-year-old discovered the power of the imagination," he writes. "It seemed the end of the watch would never come. I was gaining a sense of the terrible nature of modern warfare as I realized in my imaginings how easily they could be turned into brutal and bloody reality." My father, 3 years older than Lloyd, had a less worrisome outlook. "We were issued brooms for guard duty in some cases at Normandy, sometimes a rifle with no ammunition, and they were expecting a German invasion. Rounds were made every night outside by officers to see if we were alert, and we would holler like hell, 'Who goes there? Advance and be recognized.'" Perhaps Dad was as worried as Lloyd, but he certainly found a practical way to overcome it. He writes, "When you hollered loud enough, you woke everybody up in the camp, so sentry duty was not so lonesome for a few minutes." At Normandy, the Canadians gained their first experience driving assault landing crafts in different tides and currents, with 36 soldiers aboard. They also transported heavy machinery and other materials of war, for example Bofor guns, lorries, and tank mesh, on landing crafts mechanized, also known as LCMs. At the ddaystory.com, I found that Myra Cruikshank, a member of Women's Royal Navy Service, was based at this first camp. She produced many excellent drawings of landing craft that were used to train crews. At night, some used Navy mattresses as bed covers in a vain attempt to keep warm, while listening to heavy bombing raids, courtesy of the Luftwaffe, a few miles west at Portsmouth and Southampton. What an unforgettable sight it was with ack-ack fire arcing upwards and bombs dropping, says one veteran. After initial training at HMS Normandy on England's southern coast was completed, the raw recruits from Canada were placed on another train to another camp, this time near Inverary in northwest Scotland, and my father said that's where the real work began.